Hello and welcome to the Fit Fuzz podcast, episode number 47. Kyle, what's happening, mate?
Well, definitely in numbers I can't count to now. 40. I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm actually on holiday this week, believe it or not. Well, I say holiday. I'm on holiday from the gym. I've taken a full week off the gym, but I'm still doing a wee bit of online stuff here and there. But yeah, man, I never realised how much I needed it until I realised.
Yeah. It's mad how it creeps up on you like that. You don't realise. It's like having bad sleep. You don't realise how bad your sleep is until you get a good night's sleep.
100%, man, 100%. And I know we were talking about it just before we started recording, but I think last week's episode really amplified how much I needed a break. Like just listening back to wee parts here and there, like my brain fog last week was absolutely insane. Like it was fucking wild. I just couldn't find words. I was actually like, I admitted this to Rachel when I came off the podcast, but when you were talking, I was listening, but nothing was staying in. So when you were asking me a question, I was like, fuck, what were we talking about?
So are we expecting big things this week? Is that what's happening?
Oh, aye. Oh, yes, mate. We went away to the Highlands. We took Ben on his first holiday as well. We went away to the Highlands on last Sunday it was. We ended up staying 3 nights. We were only supposed to stay two, and then we realised that when we were supposed to check out and head home, it was bonfire night. And Bear does not do good with fireworks, so we ended up just extending our stay for another night,
Us.
and stayed up in the Highlands. Now there was still fireworks. They had like a 15-minute display before the Celtic game kicked off. But that was much better than being in Glasgow when they set them off right up until fucking 1, 2 in the morning and shit. So it was nice, mate. Like I say, it was an amazing break, and I never realised how much I needed it until I realised.
Well, glad you've recharged the batteries. You said you were doing a wee bit of online work. I see that you put up a fairly well engaged post last night. You want to talk to us about
Probably my most engaged post in terms of likes and comments. But yeah, the cat is out the bag now. We finally announced that we're having a wee baby. It's
that?
been such a horrendous secret to keep, man. Like, and I've always said, right, and I'm quite open about this, and I know Rachel knows this as well. But for the majority of my life, I was always, I don't want kids. Like, I think I've got some sort of commitment troubles, right? And obviously, when you have a child, that's a lifelong commitment. And I can barely look after myself at the best of times. Do you know what I mean? I can barely look after the fucking dog at the best of times. So I always had it in my head, like, I don't want kids. I don't know if I could put the kid through that. Since we found out that we are having a baby, like, I swear to God, there's a cat. Uh, I have been on cloud fucking nine. Like, I've just been wanting to tell everybody, but it's, we wanted to make sure the big scan was out the way first, the 12-weeker, before we told everybody. We just wanted to be sure everything was okay, and everything is okay. So yes, mate, we're having a baby. I'm joining the club, man. I'm joining the daddy club.
Just gonna say welcome to the club. I'm glad that you said that you were looking forward to it. I'd have taken a very fucking sour note if you just went, "This is going to be terrible." I'm really not looking forward to this.
No, honestly, man, like I said, I never ever knew, I never seen it in my head how I would react, and yeah, man, it's just been an absolute buzz. Don't get me wrong, like a lot of, I think that's part of the reason for my brain fog last week as well. Just a lot of things going on at once. And just taking that wee step back this week, being selfish for myself, going on holiday, literally took 3 days away from my phone. Told all my online clients, by the way, I'm going away. I won't get back to any messages until at least Wednesday. It was absolutely amazing. And yeah, I just a lot going on in my head, a lot going on in my life, but just allowing myself that wee break was incredible. And now I feel like, yes, let's get it.
Class. I'd love to say that that brain fog will go away. I know it probably feels a little bit better now, but I was going to say a child does not help that brain fog.
I know, mate. I know. I've got until May, so I'm expecting the episodes from May onwards to be fucking terrible.
Mate, I was going to say we got told originally, I think it was July, and it ended up having Finn in April, mate. So you might not have till May,
Oh,
depending on what
fuck.
happens. So I was going to say, be prepared, batten down the hatches.
I know, mate. I can't wait, man. How is the wee man anyway?
He's good. Yeah, he's doing what wee babies should do, I guess. But he's just so busy. Like when he's awake, he's just so like he's grabbing at everything. He's interacting with everything. He's it's great, but at the same time, there's not a minute's peace. Like last night, I think I was looking after him for a wee bit, and he's just like not a second can you leave him without him wanting something, doing something. He's he's at the point though where he's just about. I would almost say he probably can crawl at this point right now. It's just like Jen's like we need to make sure that we've scrubbed the floors. We make sure that he's in this particular fucking garment just to make sure that we're giving him the best chances of it. But like you can see, he's trying to put the wheels in motion, or his limbs in motion to get that done.
Aye, fantastic, man. Can't wait to meet the wee guy. I've still not met him. Were you over in Glasgow for Laura's birthday, or
Yeah,
was
I was
she?
just over for literally it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, back Thursday thing. So we were
Enough.
surprised. She knew I was coming across. We didn't know Jen and Finn were coming across. So surprised her on the Tuesday. Mate, I had to keep her at the house for 6 hours. So she picked me up. I had to get so we got in. I know I said Tuesday, but we got in like late Monday night, and then Jen was at my dad's. I had to go back to the airport for 11:30 on Tuesday so she could pretend to pick me up by myself. So got dropped off, had that awkward conversation with the taxi drivers like, where are you going? And I was like, nowhere, mate, just come back. I didn't say that, mate. I literally made up a story about how I was going to Ireland and I worked for the bank. But anyway, she picked us up. She was originally meant to go to Loch Head, which is about an hour away from Glasgow. Got in the car and she's like, no, we're going to go to Bramble, which is 20 minutes beside her apartment. And I was like, I was meant to keep her at the house till 5, so like my mum, my gran, my dad, like his partner Susan, all that could be in the house. I was like, 1:30 we'd been fed and she wanted to go home. I'm like, what do I do for 3.5 hours? I started to go to Queen's Park where across. I was like, oh, I've never been to that park before. Walking around the park. Oh, I need to go to the toilet. Like literally just sitting in the toilet thinking how to distract her. Um, it's it was a nightmare. I ended up waiting until about 4:15, which was an effort by itself. But I was going to say Jen and Finn had the house ready for her, but fuck yeah, that was a disaster.
My God, did it work out though in the end?
Not exactly the way we wanted it to with everybody there, but like Jen and Finn were there and everybody arrived kind of. Ironically, if I had kept her out till 5, everybody was running late anyway, so it wouldn't have fucking
Oh,
mattered. So I'd have been raging if I'd kept her out till 5 and there was nobody there. But
I can imagine that, man. I
yeah,
wish I was a wee fly on the taxi door, man, when you were in that taxi. Where you going? Just catching a flight to Scotstoun, please, mate.
literally, yeah. Yeah, see where you've just passed me. I'm coming back. I'm literally getting dropped off to come back again.
Oh man, that is fucking quality. And I'm glad it all worked out in the end though. And happy birthday, Laura. I don't know if she listens, but
She's absolutely no listening. She's
100%. No, I know. By the way, man, do you know what I've been struggling with this week? All the Halloween sweeties lying about the house. Look, honestly, like this is our first Halloween in the new house, right? The only neighbours that we really know are the other three neighbours in our block. It's block of four, right? So we know our other three neighbours, and we know the neighbours across the back that way because they got a puppy, and obviously that is a reason to start speaking to them. So Rachel bought all these sweeties, hundreds of fucking sweeties, expecting it to be busy because the neighbours across the road have got kids and they decorated their garden. They had like the fake cobwebs on the hedge and stuff like that. So we thought, right, we'll be prepared in case we get lots of kids to the door. Zero. We got zero. The only kids that came to our door were Rachel's best friends to pick Rachel in bed up so they could go trick or treating with them. So out of all the sweets that we had, we gave away like 4 or 5 bags, wee tiny bags. Oh man, I've been having Skittles for breakfast.
get them out of eye level, mate. Absolutely hide them
Mate,
in
they're
cupboards.
at the top of the cupboard. I go looking for them. I get that wee feeling. I want Skittles. And I'm away jumping up on the worktops to go get them.
Sort yourself out. Fucking. I've got no
It's
other
fine.
advice outside of sort yourself out on that.
I'm nearly through them all now, so I can just get through them and that's
Mate,
it.
if it's there and it's giving you anxiety, mate, it doesn't sound like it is, but fucking get a bin bag and get rid of them.
Aye. Oh, aye. I think they're going to go in the bin. But then, like, we need to watch what Rachel's craving and shit. And now that I can talk about this, it's great. We need to just be careful with Rachel's. She's not got the cravings quite yet. I think she's actually against all foods at the minute. She was really badly sick for about 6 weeks there because we've known for we knew quite early on, right? and see the sickness that that poor lassie has suffered. It has been shocking. I've been papped in the spare room. I've been papped on the couch because she can't stand my smell. Just just me.
Get a shower
She
on
told
it.
me. I know. She told me she's like, what was it? I went out to give her a cuddle. I went over to give her a cuddle, and she's like, Gary, I can pure smell your breath, man. Your breath stinks. My mouth was closed. I'm like, what? What? So, aye, her senses are all heightened and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if Jen got really bad sick. Was she quite bad at the start, or was she all right?
I wouldn't say sickness. She don't think she got that badly. It was more like Jen going through the diabetic journey, just energy levels all over the shop.
Yeah, yeah,
She went off foods, mate, and she's still not back on them. Like fucking steak. She just can't eat steak anymore. I'm like, steak's one of the best nights of the week, and she can't
yeah.
fucking
Aye.
stomach steak. So me and Rocky are steaks, mate. That's just me and Rocky. But no, I would say, yeah, no, it was more the cravings, the tiredness, and then I'll not tell you the spoilers for things to come ahead, but like when it gets to the
Anyway.
pain and not being able to move, because Jen was the size of a house, albeit there was people telling her she looked neat. Don't know what they were looking at, but wasn't it Jen?
Aye. Fucking Rachel's went off chicken.
Chicken.
Which chance have I got, man?
That's no protein happening. You're definitely stuck on the refresher bars. Skittles.
Yes. And yeah, 100%. Anything with chicken, any onions as well. So I made mince last night and put onions in it, forgetting that Rachel wasn't wanting it. So I've got a full 500 grams of mince full of onions and peppers.
Probably changing the weekly, mate. As soon as you think you know, I thought I had it down, mate. I thought I had a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner sorted, and the menu wasn't good enough. It was good on the Tuesday, but it was shite on the Thursday.
Oh, brilliant, man. Brilliant. Got it all to look forward to. Anyway, man, tell me how your week's been. Anything exciting happening?
Not really. No, I was over in Glasgow, as I said. Came back straight back into work. I left Glasgow yesterday at 5:15 in the morning, and then was pretty much straight back to work. I've we've got this today. My dad's actually coming over this weekend, so Jen's got something on. So I think we're just don't know what you do when like I've not drank in 3 months. I'm not planning to, so I don't know what I'm going to do with me, my dad, and a 6 month-year-old. Considering I don't really drive either, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, so I don't know. Probably put on.
Find another park you've not been to.
Can right, mate. I probably get the Celtic DVDs out. Oh, do you remember this? Oh, do you remember that?
Reminiscing. Oh, man. Aye. That's going to be a tough gig, man. I would say that's much harder than keeping Laura occupied for 6 hours.
Yeah, I don't even know because I was looking to see if there was actually any live games on, and like none of the Scottish games are on till Sunday. And I'm like, right, cool. Saturday's completely out the window. It's all shite games. It's all like there's literally nothing to do. I don't know.
I'm sure you'll figure it out, mate. I'm
Got
sure
to
you won't be
teach
too
them
bothered.
teach them how to play Call of Duty or something. Don't know.
Maybe the gym.
Yeah, I'll see that happening. Yeah. Um, what was I going to say? Any plans for the weekend, just say?
I've got a China Buffet King birthday lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow being yesterday for listeners. So for it's for my wee cousin's 16th. So that'll be exciting. But apart from that, nothing. We really need to get the house, try and get it sorted before Christmas. But we're at the stage now where we're just trying to pay somebody to do it for us, but we've left it too late and everybody's fucking full.
Yeah, fair. I was going to say China Buffet King. You don't get that over here. Certainly not where we're from. And fuck me, that's tremendous. Like I used to really enjoy going China Buffet King. Like the plates, that you, like just plate on plate on plate. Like
Oh yes.
tremendous stuff. Like I'm going to go after this High Rocks is out the way. I'm going to go on like a muscle building phase, and the temptation to just get really loose with it is very high. I'm not going to, but I'm like, do you see the temptation to just go and live at a China Buffet King for about 4 months? Tremendous.
100%, man. Easy bulk right there. I don't think Irish people would enjoy China Buffet King over here because there's no any spice bags.
Lack of potatoes, spicy
The
potatoes.
aye. And to be fair, it's no really it's the what will we call it? The Glasgow version of Chinese food.
The Glasgow Cantonese. Yeah, no.
Glasgow Cantonese, that's it. But apart from that, mate, nothing. Just going to try and get the house done. A wee bit of decorating, wee bit of siliconing. Is that how you say that? Siliconing? I think I just made that up.
You could have made it up, but I know what you mean.
So yeah, I went from brain fog last week to making words up this week's fucking.
I
I think
can't
I'm pregnant.
can't wait to see what next week brings.
Right, wait, do you want to talk about something health and fitness related?
Absolutely, mate. What
We've
do you
had a
what's
20-minute catch up.
what's up your sleeve?
Right, so a lot of my online clients seem to have, I don't know if it's because it's a lead up to Christmas, or dark mornings, dark nights, but a lot of people seem to have fallen off the wagon. So I thought we could maybe talk about how to just kind of pull yourself back. I hate the term falling off the wagon. There is no wagon, but um, just talking about how to kind of pull yourself back, get yourself back in the game, get yourself back on track. Fancy chatting about that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent, man. So let's say, like, use me for example. I've been off the quote unquote wagon for a very long time. How would you suggest, what is one thing that you would suggest I do to get myself back on track? We'll go one at a time here.
Is this a hypothetical? Gary's falling off the wagon, or
This is
Gary's
very
actually,
hypothetical.
yeah,
Aye,
Gary's
aye.
actually falling off the wagon.
There is no wagon this week. I'm on holiday. Fuck it.
I was going to say just to be clear on that. Yeah, I was going to say I think you always need to like realign to where you want to be, and you're human at the end of the day. So I think firstly, like it's natural that you're going to fall off the wagon. It's not a person I've ever coached that's not come off the wagon at some point to some degree. Like it's always you're always going to get to the value of that. There's nothing better than having momentum behind you when you're seeing results and you're feeling good because you're like, oh, what I'm doing, like the work that you done 2 or 3 weeks ago, you're starting to see the results of that 2 or 3 weeks later, and it's good because you're like incentivized by that and everything seems to be going your way. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, like when you're feeling like you've kind of come out of routine for a wee bit and it's like you kind of feel like you're putting in a wee bit of effort but it's actually nowhere near the effort you were putting in before, and you start to see the results slow down. It's like, what's the point? If you miss one day it's fine, but then you miss two or three and it's like, do you know what, I'll start again Monday, and then
Yeah.
Monday becomes a following Monday, and then before you know it you're 16 Mondays past and you're like, I've barely done a fucking tap and now this is my reality of whatever. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. Like I've been there. I have been there. I've been the person who's promised myself Mondays coming round, and it's not happened. And whilst I would love to say there's an easy fix to it, there's absolutely not. I think with that you do need to get out your own way a lot of the time and actually call yourself in your own bullshit, because you'll make excuses a lot of the time about how life's harder, you've not got the energy levels, that all of that carry on. My goes to for top tips are always look at where you want to be in the first place. And if it's not a case where it's something that's like sometimes losing another 4 kilos isn't probably the biggest incentive when you're feeling a bit shit. You're like, well, what does the fucking matter? Like, because you forgot what it feels like to lose kilos. The opposite way I would play that is, well, what happens if you don't? Like, what happens right now if if you continue doing what you're doing, things are only going one way. And whether that be from a body composition point of view or an energy point of view, you can absolutely get away with a short period of time, but for a long period of time, it's not going to happen. Like, you need to look at why you need to recalibrate and look at where you want to be and what you want to do in the first place. Second part to that is, whilst a lot of health and fitness exercise, the things that you do are going to the gym, doing movement, eating nutritious foods, like having an element of balance in there. Like, whilst that's all the levers you can pull, like your ability to be able to do so is based on how much sleep you have, your energy availability, it's your job to look after that. So if a couple of months ago you're feeling like you're getting in good results, even a couple of weeks ago you're feeling like good results, what's changed in your life? Have you started skimping out? Is it half an hour sleep where you're scrolling on your phone and you're feeling more tired now? Can we look at try to get that little bit of sleep back? Is it the fact that you started sleeping in a bit longer so you're running behind and you're kind of, there's nothing worse than waking up, going to work for somebody else, getting to 6 o'clock, and you've not had any time to yourself and having to feel like you have to fit absolutely everything in. So is there a chance that we can maybe start to set an alarm? You're going to have to force it for a while, but you're going to set an alarm at the other side of the room and maybe just get up at that time you were getting up at. Like, I know this sounds overly harsh, but I know it's dark and I know it's cold, but like realistically, the boxes that need to be ticked don't care about your feelings. Like, it's a case of like, whilst they need to be ticked and they don't care about your feelings, we care about your feelings. We can make it easier in the sense that like there are things that you can do instead of maybe going out a dark walk. Is it possible that you can go to a gym at that time in the morning and go on a treadmill?
Mhm.
Is it possible that you can park slightly further away? Simply putting those things in place start to get you that little bit of momentum. once you have that momentum, you'll start to be able to see, like, again, motivation comes on the back of momentum, not the other way about, if that makes sense.
Aye, I think a lot of people's problem as well. Don't really want to call it a problem, but what a lot of people get in their head is, they try and do everything all at once. So let's say they've had a bad day, they feel like they've fallen off the wagon, and they then think they need to have a complete reset. They need to, plan in the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week. They need to cut their calories all the way down. You don't, like Kyle said, you need to start small, build momentum, park further away when you go for your shot, park further away when you park up for work. Buy yourself a walking pad. Like, walking pads are so easy to get now that they're relatively cheap. You can store them under your sofa. If you've got a walking pad in the house, you really don't have any excuse for lack of movement. So yeah, just something as small as just getting out for a walk. Setting your phone up. That's a fucking great one that I like to use with people. Just setting your alarm across the room, so yeah, you're actually forcing yourself to get up. One mistake I made a few weeks ago is I was like, I'll set Alexa's alarm up. Alexa's in the living room, and we were sleeping in the bedroom. And I realised that I could just shout at her and tell her to shut up.
That's a problem.
It's a problem, so I've not done that again since. But no, listen, you touched on just briefly there about like people kind of almost wanting to just kind of give up. And you need to ask yourself, if I give up, if I keep doing what I'm doing, is this going to push me further away from getting to where I want to be? And I was speaking to someone last night on a call, and she was saying to me she's had a really tough, or she had a tough first 11 weeks of the online program. And she's like, I was just ready to chuck it after 11 weeks, because I wasn't seeing progress. I wasn't getting closer to where I wanted to be. And I asked her the question, I was like, if you do chuck it, like, what's then going to happen? Are you going to just continue to get further and further and further away from where you want to be? Or do you think chucking it is actually going to help you get closer? So just asking yourself that question as well, is, I think, very important. And it could be enough to be like, someone else pointing out to you going, aye, maybe you've got a decent enough point here. But yeah, start small and just kind of build on it from there. I would always say as well, see if it's just one bad day, or what you perceive to be a bad day. That doesn't mean you've fallen off the wagon. That means you've just had a normal to bad day. Never have two bad days in a row. See if you feel like you have had a bit of a shit day, maybe work's got too stressful, you've came home, you've tanned a bottle of wine and you've ordered a Domino's or a Chinese or something like that. Make sure the very next day is absolutely on the money. You have high protein breakfast, you hit your protein goals, you hit your calorie target, you hit your steps the very next day. Don't let it drag on for any longer than it needs to be. And then you get into that kind of mindset of, oh, I'll just wait till Monday. Say you have a bad day on a Wednesday, you let it drag into Thursday, you let it drag into Friday. That means that's 5 days out of the 7 that you've had bad, just because you let it drag on far too long. Stop waiting to Monday, and we touched on this last week as well. Like, speaking about stop waiting to January, but stop waiting to Monday. Make sure at the earliest possible stage you get back on it. See if you wake up in the morning as well and you're a wee bit tired and you have a fucking fry up for breakfast. Make sure your very next meal is high in protein and full of nutrients. Just because you've had a fry up for breakfast, that doesn't then mean that you write the full day off. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I went to a talk with a guy called Gareth Timmins. He was one of the Royal Navy SEALs. I keep forgetting Royal Marines. One of the ones that have got the 99.9% fail rate. Like, so it
Right.
used to be the adverts, like 99.9% of people need not apply because their actual fail rate is that. So one of his things was like he now trains or like coaches high performers, like in every aspect of life. Like, but one of the things that he was saying is like coming to acceptance is like the thing that always there's a model of like the grieving process, and that happens no matter what happens. Is like whether you're in combat, like, and you need to accept the fact there's a possibility you're going to die, or the fact that you've ate a muffin and you need to get back on to like your nutrition program. It's the people who come to acceptance quicker, but there is always that grieving
Mm.
process. You need to go through the stages, but actually training yourself to go through the stages. So right now, if you're like again, let's say you have a fucking muffin, just to use that analogy. If you have a muffin that's taking you 5 days to come to acceptance, can we get that down to 4 days? Can we get that down to 3 days? Can we get to acceptance quicker? And the fact that like it happened, let's move on. Like the acceptance
Right.
is the fact you can't change the past, but realistically, the version of you that's taken 5 days to come round to it is not going to be a version of you who's making any changes whatsoever. The version of you that comes to acceptance within 24 hours and just fucking gets on with it. And just on what you said about like the next day being completely on point. I agree. I think it's a dangerous thing that we need to look at of things being perfect, but I absolutely get and what you're saying in terms of like it needs to be a differentiation between what you've done the night before and that. But like, have you ever been at work and tried to pretend you're working? It's actually harder than just doing work. Like genuinely, like it's harder to pretend you're doing the thing. And a lot of the time, like again, working with a high volume of people, like one of the things that gets to me is when you see a large percentage of people getting good results, and then you've always got people who like ultimately are don't want to kid themselves on, but are stuck and getting in their own way a lot of time. And you get this person in the middle who's like, oh, I feel like I'm putting in a lot of effort. But then when you actually check the things, so like are they tracking their food? There's like 3 days tracked, 3 days
Yeah.
semi-tracked. They've got like a couple of days of ticked off steps and then a couple of days that it's not ticked off steps, but it's like they feel like they're putting in a lot of effort. I'm like, do you know what? It's like feelings and facts are two different things. You're not like it's actually harder for you right now to like you're feeling like you're putting in 3 days of really solid graft because like you're taking 3 days off and you're forcing yourself back into it. Could we just actually look at the next 7 days, even if it's not perfect, just tracking your food to what it is, like
Mhm.
actually just tracking everything. At that point, then we can look at what things actually look like. And I almost guarantee you, even if it's not perfect, 7 days of solid tracking, you'll start to find that some of the behaviours that are happening happen less so. There's a reason a lot of people don't like tracking because it shows a mirror to
100%, 100%. And again, that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Like a lot of people think they need to be perfect and they think they need to go 7 out of 7, ticking every single box available. You don't just be mega consistent. And I would say, I would agree with you, Kyle, as well. I would say tracking is probably one of the most important things that you want to be doing because not only does it hold you accountable, but it also helps you build that knowledge in and around food. And as a skill, like tracking's a pain in the arse. I would be the first to admit this as well. It's quite difficult at the start because you need to weigh everything, you need to scan everything, you need to make sure everything's perfect. But see, the more and more you do it, again, like any skill, you get better at it, you get more efficient at it, you get quicker at it. But honestly, it takes what if you want to track absolutely every single bit of your food that you've had from breakfast to dinner, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes of your day if you're lucky. It does not take a lot of time. Track it as you're prepping your food, track it as you're eating your food. It's totally up to you as long as you track every single thing that passes your lips. It doesn't take that long. The thought of it is always worse than actually doing it. Um, on you go.
yeah, I was going to say I heard a quote from. I was listening to a couple of gym bros in my local gym the one evening that actually got to me. This wee guy's in the gym. You know, one of those times you go to the gym. If it doesn't matter if it's fucking 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening, 3 o'clock in the day, that guy's always there. Like he must. I think he's a student, so probably just lives in the gym. But I overheard a conversation between him and his mates, and they were talking about cutting, and they were talking about getting in shape, and like one of them was like, "Oh, tracking your food." He's like, oh, you need to track every bit of your food, whatever. And the other guy was like, oh no, I don't have time to do that. I'm like, mate, you're in the gym 7 days a week, mate. I'm like, you would be in significantly better shape just going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week if you just got a handle on your food. Like what you're chasing and how you're doing it, you're doing busy work. Like there's no need for you to go to the gym 7 days a week to try and get in. You're going 7 days a week just to maintain the shape that you're in right now, and you're in all right shape. You're not in great shape. Like I was going to say, you'd be scared to drop down because I've been that guy. I was like, you'd be scared to go to the gym 3 times a week because you'd be like, oh, I'll lose all my gains. And if actually, mate, if you just tracked your food, like you would be in significantly better shape. So what's going to take you more time? Going an extra 4 times to the gym a week, or just spending 20 minutes like sticking your food in? And do you know what's great about your food these days that they didn't used to have? See in MyFitnessPal, see if you have the same breakfast every day. You can go, swipe dad yesterday's breakfast. Swipe dad yesterday's breakfast. Do what I do every day. Swipe dad yesterday's breakfast.
Yeah.
Sometimes because I'm feeling a wee bit frisky, I'll add in a wee bit of chocolate. There's a wee bit left over. Here's a tip for you, Gary. If you're wanting a wee bit of chocolate in the morning, I was going to say, wee bit of Mars bar in the oats whilst it's still warm, let it
Oh,
melt. Lovely stuff.
stop that, man. Talk dirty to me. Uh, but yes, mate, like literally, like we were saying, it is a skill. It's going to be footery at first, but it's the same as building any new habit. It's going to be forced at first. It's going to be a bit footery. You're going to want to talk yourself out of it. But again, you need to go back to asking yourself, if I stop doing if I stop tracking my food, if I stop setting my alarm up across the room, is this going to take me further away from where I want to get to? So yeah, just to summarize quickly, so we don't forget what we've spoken about. So don't have two bad days in a row. Get yourself out for a bit of a walk. Make sure your very next meal is high in protein and full of nutrients. Kyle, what were you throwing at us?
I was quite enjoying your wee flow of a summary there, mate. I was just going to say, a lot of time it's harder to fake the thing that you have to do than actually just do it. So the thought
Yeah.
of doing the thing is always harder than actually just fucking doing the thing, almost always. And then just to back up on the repeatability is key as well. I think a lot of time, like if you went into work and you had to do completely different tasks and did completely different skills each time, it's going to be mentally consuming. And
Mhm.
like I know a lot of people can enjoy that, but it actually just becomes difficult to measure things. Whereas whilst that might sound boring to a lot of people, like having similar type of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Monday
Oh,
to Friday in particular, it very much can set you up for. That's what gives me the freedom of having
yeah.
a pizza at the weekend or having like fucking had a kebab tray last week and still dropped like a kilo. I'm like because I know how to set up my week because
Mm.
I'm not trying to fit in like one day it's like turkey burgers, the next day it could be a fucking deli wrap. Like the difference in calories on those, I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong, whatever your jam is, but realistically, just fucking try and keep it consistent because inconsistent inputs lead to inconsistent outputs.
100%. And do you know the amount of times that I've had this conversation with someone, I don't like eating the same thing every day. You're a fucking adult, grow up.
Do you like being fat? No, but seriously, like I'm not whatever, but
I know.
I
I
always
just
hear
wasn't
that from
expecting it. You
I
caught me
always
off
hear
guard
that
there.
mate, it fries my brain, and I'm not being like unsympathetic to people, but like it does my head in more than anything when I have a conversation with somebody. I'm not saying they're even in the coaching process, but I've had conversations with people 4 years ago, and like they've been like, "Oh, I might get started. Maybe now's not the right time." 4 years later, they're in a far worse place because they've decided they're going to continue doing what they're doing. I'm
Yeah.
like, I had a guy where I sat down with him, and I literally was like, "Right, we're ready to go." He's like, "Yeah, yeah." Monday, whatever, I'll get started on Monday. Absolutely ghosted me. Like the guy's 100 and easily 50 kilos, like big guy. I seen him in one of my local gyms the other day. Now he's now paying a personal trainer, whatever he's paying. It's definitely more than what I would charge for the monthly rate, right? He's paying that because he's in there several times. The personal trainer's got this guy that's 150 kilos doing fucking burpees and doing like
Oh,
overhead kettlebell swings. I'm like, just fucking get out your own way here. Like I know that I know you like what you're liking to eat, but see what you like at the moment. Like it's not good for you. Like I know it's a harsh truth and a bitter pill to swallow, but it's not good for you. I'm not saying you can't ever have it again. But what I'm saying is we need to start managing that. Like, would you trade 10% food enjoyment for 90% better results? I would 100%. And
100%.
I think on that as well, just whilst I'm in full flow of this ramble, I think a lot of what people think, like I get on conversations with people and they're like, "Oh, I know about the turkey burgers and stuff. I need to be eating that." And I'm like, I think a lot of the time, group fat loss programs in the fucking early thousands have ruined people's concept of what
Mhm.
healthy and non-healthy foods are, and that whole healthy and bad foods thing. I think we're still trying to recover from that because you know what? There's nothing wrong with turkey burgers. It's not one of those things that's like it's something you have to have or it's something you don't have to have.
Yeah.
But if you can have turkey burgers or chicken or fish or whatever the fuck that is, that just opens the gate for then in the evening time. Like I put a reel up about this recently. You can fucking have two glasses of wine, a bag of popcorn, if we look at managing things throughout the day. But if you're going to eat like a fucking reprobate half the day, then don't expect yourself to be able to get away with it in the evening time as well.
But the thing is, though, like, they're paying you money, so they want results. So why are they not seeing results? Because they're paying you money.
Oh yeah, because sorry, I left my magic wand
Oh,
for
I've
Harry
lost you,
Potter.
Kyle.
Oh, are we back? Are we gone?
Oh, you're back. You're back. You caught up. But precisely that. Like we don't have just because you're paying us money doesn't mean we have a magic wand that we can wave. Like you still need to make those changes. You're paying us for our expertise, for our help, for our support. We can give you all the support in the fucking world. But at the end of the day, you're the one that needs to action the changes that's necessary for you to get to where you want to be. And only doing that when you can be asked doing it, or waiting till you can be asked doing it, then the chances are you're probably never ever going to get to that point that you want to be. You're probably never going to get to feeling a wee bit happier in your own skin, a wee bit more confident, lifting a wee bit more in the gym, a wee bit leaner, and most importantly, healthier as well. Like you're never. I'm not saying you're never going to get there, but you're making it very, very difficult for yourself to get there, because you want to continue to do the habits that you've been doing that's actually got you to this point in the first place.
I think there's a beautiful thing in there that, like, I'll be honest, I was part of the people who didn't believe this to start off with, and I used to, and I put a post up about this as well. I used to think some people were lucky in terms of like where they end up in life, but they're more often than not, there are outliers to this, but more often than not, what you put in is what you get back, and whether that be from like a health and fitness point of view or otherwise. But we're going to talk about health and fitness because that's what we're doing. Like what you put in is genuinely what you get back. There is no secret sauce or magic wand. What Gary or I can do is very much make sure that the path is laid out as frictionless as possible, suits you and is personalised to you, so that ultimately it is, like, again, a plan that puts you in the optimal environment. Our job's also to make sure that when shit goes wrong, we help you. But realistically, like, I refunded somebody last year because I've refunded two people, and just to be clear on this, out of the last 14 years of coaching, I've refunded two people. This is one of the people I refunded. He messaged me after, bear in mind, he wasn't doing the very minimum what I was asking him to do, and literally it was just a touching base with me. I'd sent probably, if you looked at our messages, I'd sent probably 3 messages a week to him, just asking how he's getting on, what can I help with. Like, in terms of inputs in the app, there was nothing. Like, I think even the first week, there was absolutely nothing put in. He sent me a message about 3 weeks in, going something along the lines of, I've been out the weekend and went on a mad one. Essentially was blaming me. That was my fault that he went out over the weekend, had a mad one, and he was looking for accountability. Kind of didn't message him back what I wanted to message him back, but I was kind of just, I asked the question. I was like, right, okay, outside of turning up at your door, making you food and keeping you captive, like, what could I have done differently? Bit of silence. I was like, right, I don't think this process is for you, because realistically, I'll never take somebody on board if they are making the sounds. And I think it's always a warning sign when somebody says to me, accountability and ownership are two different things. I'm very keen for giving accountability, but it's accountability to say what you're going to do that you said you'd done in the first place. But if you're looking for accountability in lieu of ownership, then that's where the issue is. And I have no issue with people doing PT sessions. I think there's a lot of value in PT sessions. But see people who turn up at PT sessions thinking, I want accountability for being at the gym and I need to make it an appointment.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about it, but also, why do you feel that you have to drag yourself to something in the first place? And what happens the moment that PT is not there? Are you ever going to be autonomous? Like, if you're having to drag yourself to a PT session, what else are you having to drag yourself to do? Like, would be my question on things.
It's a very, very good question to ask, actually. I do have a client like that at the minute, and I think, yeah, I think it's about time that I asked that question to myself, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It goes one way, and like, I'd be guilty as MD of having to go through this at times. But like, generally, when the behaviour patterns with people start to go, oh, I'm not enjoying doing this, I'm not enjoying doing that, and I'm like, right, okay, is there anything we can do to make this more enjoyable? Like, this should be more enjoyable than what it is. Like, there's two different things that you're here for, and one typically is results, but I don't just want to get you results in the sense that you've forced yourself to get there in the end. There are points where, like, at any process, it's not going to be the funnest you've ever had, but at the same time, there should be a lot of merit in having to feel better about yourself, accomplishments. Like, you're talking about, one of the opening questions you asked we've not really touched on is, what are the benefits of going to the gym? And I'm like, for me, I'll stand by, going to the gym changed, probably saved my life, in the sense that, like,
Yeah.
being able to do things that you never once were able to do, like, whether that be a movement, like, there's nothing better for me than, particularly women, they're like, oh, I want to do pull-ups, and like, you've got them down the line doing pull-ups. It's like, class. Like, deadlifts, like, there's no better feeling than when somebody's lifted a new PB and they've lifted that, like, bar up to where it is. But like, when you have a lot of, I just didn't want to, like, when you see some of these, like, weekly graph, and it's like they've done 2,000 steps and their target's 8,000 steps. I'm like, there's a mental block there somewhere, and if you're putting that little effort into getting your steps done, what else are you putting that little effort in? There's a
Oh yeah.
concise, yeah, there is a concise, and it is correlated to like 100%. And there's no issue. Like there will be people who at times, if it's not 8,000 steps, it's like if there's a bit alongside it going, I didn't quite get the 8 because you know what, I was up and down to the hospital to look after my sick mother and whatever. But you still get those people who've got all that shit going on, but going, look, I really tried and I don't want it to come across. But see somebody that's like 8,000 steps and they're going, I got 2,000 done and that's what it is. Deal with it. I'm like, well, I don't have a magic wand. Like outside
Yeah.
of me dragging you out your house, I'm no your dad. Like I'm Finn's dad and I'm barely being able to look after him. And I was going to say, he can't walk yet and I bet you he gets more steps than you.
I was going to say
Sort
something
it.
along those lines. Aye, so just to be like crystal clear here, like we are, we're not having a go at you, we're not shouting and bawling at you, we're just saying that you have to take some form of action and you have to hold yourself accountable rather than relying on us to hold you accountable every single day. Now, we will hold you accountable to a certain point, but at the end of the day, this is your life. Like Kyle says, we're no your dad. You need to take action. You need to do the things that need to be fucking done to get you to where you want to be. Otherwise, why are you asking us for our help if you're not willing to take it on board, if you're not willing to do what we know needs to be done to help you become a better, healthier, happier, fitter, stronger version of yourself?
I thought you were going to break into Kanye West there then.
I
I was enjoying that.
was good, man. I was enjoying it, man. The brain fog is it's holding up well this week, let me tell you.
I was. I, I'm hesitant to say what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. I
Oh,
on
it's
the
funny. I can edit it out, remember?
fuck it, leave it go. I was going to say we're closing our doors anyway. Don't need any other clients. Fucking, it's going to. What was he going to say? So, as much as we say we're not having a go, I think sometimes when you talk about accountability, that's exactly what you need though, is the fact that we maybe are having a go at you because a lot of the time you are getting in your own way. Like I think we have this narrative with social media and everybody promising you that you can get better results for doing next to nothing. Like it's like the get rich quick schemes. It's like there is I often get feedback saying this is actually a lot easier than what I thought it was. I'm not as hungry as what I thought it was. I have more energy than what I thought it was. I actually don't feel like I had a girl start 2 weeks ago and she's, I think, dropped like 3 kilos. And she's like, I actually thought this would be a lot more difficult than what it is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what we do. What we don't do is, and the reason that she finds that is because actually we just had to put the pieces of the puzzle in place for her and go, I had a long conversation with her, probably spent about an hour going, what does your life look like right now? Cool, got kids, you've got this in terms of like snacking and eating, this is some of the issues we have. Let's factor that in. Let's not make that a bad thing. Let's look at the next week. Are you, and again, it's always a willing to, are you willing to do this? Cool, this is maybe what I need you to. You're happy enough for that? Cool, can we give this a go? All she done was give that a go. Like it wasn't a case of, there's nothing worse for me than when you speak to somebody and go, right, okay, what are you willing to do? And they're like, oh yeah, 8,000 steps. Cool. Are we willing to give this a go? And then you get a weekend, it's like you've tracked no food and you've done nothing. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm not getting results because you've logged 3 days. Like, no, we are having a go at you. Fucking sort yourself out.
Fair enough, man. Cancelled. I shouldn't get any more clients because you've scared everybody off.
But I think having genuine reasons, like I have no issue if somebody comes to me with a genuine reason.
100%. Yeah.
I've tried, but again, I had this, and I put out a post in this about PT sessions. I had a guy once cancel a PT session with me because it was raining outside, like genuine reason. And I was like, I've probably had people who've cancelled because of rain, but they came up with better excuses. But he was just blunt enough to say it's raining, I'm not coming. And do you know what? I don't even know what you write back to that, but like, fair enough. But I was going to say, I've also had people who have had, like, I had a woman whose dog died, family dog, 14 years, died. She was like, no, I need to be here. And just
Aye.
came to a session. I'm like, I'm not saying that that's a level of which you need to come to, but a lot of the excuses you put down, like there's one person that says it's raining, won't come, and there's one person that'll come when the dog dies. Who do you think gets better results? Who do you think's more resilient?
100%.
Who do you
Aye.
think will turn up? Like there's people who go, I'll not go out my steps in because it's raining. I'm like, cool. Well, see, it's summertime when it's not raining, you're worried about like your rolls because, and not the rolls that you eat, the rolls that are hanging from you. It's because you didn't go out and do your walking when it was raining. And you
When
know
it
what?
was raining.
The great thing about when you were born is I've still yet to see anybody drown in the rain. Maybe I could be wrong on this, but your skin's waterproof. Fucking get out there.
I've heard a rumor, and I don't know how true this is. I think I seen it online years ago, but apparently you can drown in a teaspoon of water.
Fucking deserve to die, in my opinion.
I don't know how. I don't know if maybe you need to put it, I don't know, you choke on it or something like that. But then technically that wouldn't be drowning, would it?
I mean, who's like
Who's done this experiment?
yeah, who's done this experiment and who got to the point where it's like, even if you did die from a teaspoon of water, like I would hope that the people around me goes, don't put that down. Like, say anything else. Fucking
On the gravestone.
yeah, stick his hand in a socket or something. Don't know.
Died from a teaspoon of water.
Fucking shite bag death.
And that was good, mate. I enjoyed talking about that as well. So yeah, just if you feel like you are, I'm saying I enjoyed talking about that there. I meant to say I enjoyed listening to that there.
Thanks for coming to my TED talk.
Aye, yeah. If you feel like you are starting to fall off the wagon, I think a lot for me, for people that I work with online, I would say about 80% of the people tend to fall off the wagon because the motivation starts to go and they don't know how to deal with it, they don't know how to handle it. So, you know what it's like. You start a new program, you start with a new PT, you're all motivated, you're all excited, you're all, buzzing, ready to go. Then after 5, 6, 7 weeks, you realize maybe it isn't as exciting as you thought it was going to be, or the motivation starts to dip a wee bit. You're starting to feel like, oh, I can't be bothered going and getting my steps. And then you just start to what's the word I'm looking for here? What's the word when you start to do yourself damage?
Self sabotage.
Self-sabotage. Yeah, brain fog came back. There we
We
go.
almost made it, mate. We almost made it
You
to the end.
start to at least I asked you this time and I didn't just move on. So yeah, you start to self-sabotage without actually realizing you're self-sabotaging. A drop in motivation is fucking normal. It's a very, very normal thing to happen. Like Kyle said at the start of the episode, like you're only human. You're going to experience feelings of emotions. You're going to experience days where maybe you can't be asked getting out of bed, but for you to see the results that you want to see, you still need to tick those boxes. You can't just decide to do things when you feel like it. If you're waiting to feel motivated to do something, chances are you're probably never ever going to see results.
Why do we treat health and fitness like this though? Like if we look at any other aspect of your life, like you don't feel motivated to go to work, but you still go.
You still
You
go because you
might
have to.
you might not be motivated to go home some days, and particularly when I'm sure that you have a child and Rachel and everything else, you're like, fuck, I've had a tough day at work and now I'm going straight into dad duties. I really don't feel
Yeah.
motivated to do that. I'm like, you'll get days like that, but at the same time, if I don't turn up, I've not got a house to come back to. I've not
Yeah.
got a child that wants to see me anymore. If I don't go to work realistically, and to be fair, I have to. I'm my own boss. If I don't go to work, mate, it doesn't go to HR. I just don't have money coming in anymore, which means I'm fucked.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and it's the same with health and fitness. I don't know why people think things are different or what point we've got to where it's like we don't think there's an equal and opposite reaction. And I think that needs to be said is like you don't turn up to something, if you ignore something long enough, it is going to have an equal and opposite reaction. It shows. Like for anybody who thinks it doesn't show, it shows. Like it shows when if you look at somebody who goes to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, most of the time they look like they go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. I'm talking consistently. I'm not talking about January and February. I'm talking like if they do it year round. But it's not about. I had this conversation with somebody the other day about what's it called? Oh fuck! There's Kyle struggling for a word. Complexity. Uh,
Come on.
complex. I don't even know how to describe that. Mate, I had to find that at the bottom of the barrel. So but I was talking about complexity because they were talking about like how the program that I put them on almost seemed too simple. And I was like, they were getting results, and there was a compliment. They're like, "Fuck, this is almost too simple. Can't believe I've not done this before." I'm like, realistically, there's probably more complex programs that you could go on. There's more complex training programs that you could find. It doesn't take you long to find them on the internet, but to get results from, particularly from a fat loss point of view, it is just to be ruthlessly consistent. Like ruthlessly consistent. I'm not meaning consistent in the sense that one of the things that you touched on about people getting demotivated, a lot of the time I think it's because they feel that what they have to do, what they're actually doing, there's a big
Yeah,
gap between that, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger the less they show up to get that gap. But the gap sometimes is somebody who is currently doing 2,000 steps a day thinking they need to get 12,000, or somebody who's not going to the gym at all year round deciding they have to go 4 times a week.
yeah,
Again, having that conversation, speaking about the women client I have, like the conversation when she started was like, oh, I can go to the gym 4 times a week. I'm like, how many times are you going at the moment? She's like, twice. And I was like, how long have you been going? Like 2 weeks. Right, cool. We're maybe going to look at just standardizing twice and getting the best
yeah,
bang for your buck. We'll have an optional third, see how you get on for the next couple of weeks. Because as much as we can get you good results in for, like that's going to be too much right now. Let's focus on your movement, let's focus on your nutrition. Biggest issue a lot of people do is they create a gap and think that they have to do 4 times a week and they have to 12,000 steps. And the moment they stop doing that, it's like, oh, well, there's no point in doing it. If it's not fucking
yeah.
like optimal, it's a car crash. And realistically, it's finding that what is optimal for you, what's gear 5 for you, because what's gear 5 for me, and even you, is going to be completely different to what it would be for someone else. Like, sure, what's that boy, fucking Ollie Macron or whatever his name is? Like, that cunt's a machine. But I'm like, I feel like I'm now one of those people sitting in an office going, well, he works in a gym. But I was
Yeah, yeah.
but genuinely, like when you look at those people, they are literally getting like their entire program is set on them doing workouts. So like he just does workouts all the time. I'm never going to be in a position because his coaching service is different to mine. I'd literally get to the gym some weeks twice, some weeks 3 times. At the moment, I can't remember the last time I went to the gym 4 times a week. But with that said, if I was trying to live, did fight this for a while. If I was trying to live how I did 2 years ago, like the where I am right now is very different to where I am 2 years ago.
100%. Stop overcomplicating it is basically what we're getting at. Stop overthinking it, stop overcomplicating it. Make your daily boxes that you have to tick. If you don't have a coach, make your daily boxes that you have to tick achievable. Don't make them so they're out of your reach. Like somebody that gets 2,000 steps in a day, aiming for 12,000 steps. Somebody that sits at a desk for 8, 9 hours of the day, aiming for 10,000 steps. That might be just a wee bit too much of an ask, especially when you feel like you've fallen off the wagon and you want to get back onto it. Just make tiny, small, achievable boxes that you can tick off, build momentum off the back of, and then it's going to get a hell of a lot easier to stay on track or get yourself back on track when you feel like you're really struggling to get back on track. Never have 2 bad days in a row. I cannot stress that enough.
110%. I'm going to ask you 2 questions just to wrap this up, completely
Okay.
unrelated to what we've just talked about.
Right, right.
Right, pet peeves, geese it.
In the gym or
Just in
just
general.
in
Just in general.
general?
Let me go first.
Like,
Do you want to go?
you go first.
People that don't walk in escalators fucking get on my tits no end.
Really?
See, travelators as well, mate. Like, nothing worse. I've always had a pet peeve, but I'm like, see, I was saying this to Jen yesterday. We're at the airport and there's just somebody just standing, but awkwardly taking up the entire travelator.
Aye.
I'm like, see, if all the time that I'd want to waste standing in a travelator is not doing it. Like, I would rather almost get to my destination and fucking sit there rather than just stand. I'm like, you know how to walk anyway. Why are you just fucking standing there or seeing an escalator? Oh, it grinds my gears. So,
We fucking touched a nerve there, Kyle.
too much caffeine today.
I don't like see when you've got like people that are walking maybe three side by side on a pavement and they take up the whole pavement and they don't get out your way.
Don't get your way. Yeah, mate.
Oh mate, or somebody that's walking in front of you and they know you're behind them and then they stop dead to look at something.
Shops, mate.
Purposely like shoulder them. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go to Tesco, mate. Nothing worse than that. Like, literally, just people stopping at the edge of an aisle as you're walking. I'm like, oh, cool. Sorry. Cheers for putting on your.
One of my pet peeves is loud gulpers.
Oh, man, I'm probably guilty of that.
Cannot Rachel's guilty of it, and every time she does it, I just gear the eyes. Like I'll be sitting on the couch and she'll gulp and I'll go. She'll look at me and be like, "Fuck you." So I can't stand it. And apparently, I was researching this. I was looking into this. So people that chew loud and people that gulp loud, see if like that's a phobia. Like, see if you hate that, that's a phobia. Like Rachel can't understand why. It gets to me so much. I'm getting more and more used to it now. But see when like 5 years ago, and whatever, when I first discovered that she was a loud gulper, I'm like, what the fuck was that noise? Like there was no need for that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to probably give you a bit of harsh truth here, mate, and you're probably going to have to think about this for the rest of the day. I don't think the reason you've been papped out the room is for having barking breath and your mouth's closed. I reckon it's because you're doing her nothing while she's pregnant and fucking giving her a hard time about gulping.
You're probably right, mate. Probably
She's just
100%
made
right.
something up and she's like, oh, my senses are really bad, your breath is barking, but she just wants to be able to fucking gulp in peace.
Oh, I'm trying to think what else Rachel does that fucking that's a
I
pet
love how
peeve
this has
of mine.
turned out from pet peeves to what Rachel does.
There's so many, man. It's so silly, but like we have a laugh at them now because she knows that they wind me up, so she'll do it on purpose, and we'll have a laugh about it. But at first, I'm like, before I discovered weed, I would get annoyed at it.
Do you know? Do you know? Again, I'm not going to incriminate anybody by saying this, but see the person I live with, it's an adult. See, see when someone goes through, see when you're watching something on the telly and they're on Instagram Reels or TikTok and they've got the volume up full and just keep scrolling through it. It's nothing more frustrating than that, mate. Because remember the old days when you used to have 5 channels and somebody used to change them all the time, but the volume would be on, but they wouldn't actually be watching, just be changing the channel. That's what feeling like Instagram Reels change because I'm trying to listen to something. Maybe it's my attention thing, but I'm trying to focus on one thing, and then it's like just get distracted by this noise. And I'm like, this is a fucking disaster. Or just on that note, whilst we're there, see when you're getting to the pivotal point in a TV program that you've normally been watching or a movie, and somebody's about to say something really important, and they just start talking about like, oh, I was thinking about having this for dinner or whatever. I'm like,
What the fuck are you on about?
are you watching this? I'm just about to find out who was a fucking bank robber, and you're like, and the thing is, I've now just turned it around to go, don't ask me in 5 minutes what's going on. Don't
Aye.
fucking ask me in 5 minutes what's going
You
on.
start to get wise to it, don't you? Like we'll finish off with this one. This was a cracker, and this caught me completely by surprise. I was on a very important phone call, right, and I was trying to arrange a time with this person. I think I was going to get bloods or something. Anyway, I had to arrange an appointment, right? And I came in and asked, like the person said to me, "Do you have 11 o'clock next Tuesday?" Right, just some random time and day.
Yeah,
So I was like, "Let me just double check." Went in, asked Rachel, and I'm like, X time on Y day," and she went, "I think that's all right." And then she's like, and then she started trying to have a conversation. But what if we do this? And what about that person that we had? And I'm like that on the fucking phone. And she's wanting a full conversation about what time and shit that we can't do in case we let somebody else down. And I'm like that. Oh, I had to just say, aye, that's fine, come off the phone and be like, what the fuck was that?
you, you should have just said to the person on the phone, hold on, I need to find out what Uncle Martin's seen Peggy if she's going on messages that day so she
Oh,
can.
it was something so ridiculous as well. And I'm like, Rachel, you're trying to have a conversation with me whilst I'm on quite an important phone call trying to arrange a fucking appointment.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, I'd be the same. I had exactly the same thing. I was on the call and, sorry, leaving voice messages to my client, right? So, just in where we are, I'll be leaving a voice message saying what I'm about to say. Somebody was going to Iceland, that's what it was. And Jen thought it's her time to be a coach and just started speaking over me as I'm leaving this voice message. And I'm like, I'm about a minute and a half in, and you're just now talking. Firstly, nobody can hear you, but the person in the voice message now knows there's just somebody talking in the background. I was like, I can't fucking hear what you're saying, all concentrating. And she's like, I'll tell them to do this. I'm like, right, no worries, Jen. I'll just delete the 90 seconds of the voice message. I'll fucking do that again organically, and then I'll add in what you. Could you not
Right.
just fucking
You're
wait?
suggesting this is great. This has just been a pure Mrs. Bashing end to the podcast. It's been phenomenal.
We're not ending it there, though. I had one more question. Donald Trump president, what do you make of it?
Oh, very controversial. I think I here's the thing, like I don't know enough about politics to be completely opinionated on it, but from what I understand, and this is just personal opinion, I don't think it's a good thing, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Cool.
What about you?
To be honest, mate, I'm literally my arse is sore from sitting on the fence because I don't have an opinion. Like I do have an opinion, but I don't have an educated opinion. I've got an
Yeah,
opinion
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at it, going, this could be right or this could be wrong. But I honestly don't know. I think like anything politicians, I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. From what I gathered long before Donald Trump was back up for re-election, actually on the eye test, Donald Trump comes across in a certain way, but actually what he done for America actually seems to be the complete opposite in terms of like positives. Um,
Positives.
Positives, yeah. That time of the morning, or the evening, depending on what time you listen at. But yeah, it seems to be that he actually did, from a data perspective, from unemployment to wealth in America to everything else. Actually, one of the things there was the racial equality. If anything, the metrics actually say that he improved like equality across the board. So I understand that Donald Trump says something, but then I look at the end. I feel it's a bit of a facade. But then the other issue is the party that had, what was the girl's name?
Kamala.
Kamala, whatever. I was going to say it was an absolute disaster of a move from there. That was the best candidate they could put forward, in the sense that she's never ran anything before, like she's never run a
Mm.
race before. So I'm like, does that say a lot about them? In the sense that Donald Trump won by quite an overwhelming margin. They should probably
Yeah.
look at their own data. But I do think there's people using what it is as more of a race equality, sexism bashing type thing, and I don't really want to get too deep into that. It's just it was interesting to see, because I was reading the comments on Twitter. People were like, "Oh, it's white privileged males taking over America."
He's a convicted felon, like, and he's going to pardon himself for his own crimes, which is fucking wild.
Mate, if you were the fucking leader of the world and you can do what you want, the first thing I'd do is like, cool, get that to fuck. Like,
Aye.
yeah, no issues.
I mean, this is the thing. Like everything that we see on social media and news and stuff like that, it is propaganda. Like they're feeding us what they want us to know or what they want us to think. Do you know what I mean? So if you watch, I don't know if it's, I think it might be Fox News that are massive Donald Trump fans, but then you've got CNN that are completely against Donald Trump. I don't know. I could have got that the wrong way around, but if you watch one of them, then you're obviously going to get fed the shit that they want you to know, that they want you to feel. So then you're going to start having opinions. You're going to start having feelings on that certain thing. So yeah, propaganda. I don't trust the news. I don't trust journalists. I don't trust politicians. So I try and not watch the news, which is probably why I'm not educated enough to actually have a fully based opinion.
I don't disagree with you. I think there's a middle ground there. I don't watch the news for similar reasons, because you're viewing it through somebody's narrative. It's not like it's impartial news. It's like somebody's slant on a news, and we've seen time and time again that it's so partial towards somebody else. But then Twitter, Elon Musk bought Twitter, or X now, because it was meant to be an impartial place where people could put their own views. But then Elon Musk's a massive fan of Donald Trump, and when you look at Twitter over the last couple of days, it's all just positive Donald Trump things. I'm like, well, is that now just Elon Musk's version of what you should believe? Is that now become
100%. I
is
think
that now become what's not meant to be?
I read an article about X, or formerly Twitter, when Elon Musk bought it and then took off all the what is it you call that when you you're maybe not allowed to say some certain things and stuff on it. Like
Uh, yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
he took all of that off. Like you could say what you
Censored,
want.
yeah, yeah,
Would you say?
censored. Like, yeah, it was on.
Censored, aye, it was completely uncensored. Apparently the N word was the most used word for like a week.
Yeah, like that's the issue though. Like, I do think like Americans are all about, oh, it's our rights to be able to say what we want, freedom of speech and all that carry on, and like fair enough. But I also kind of feel like whilst you have freedom of speech, you shouldn't be without repercussions. Like, and the bigger issue with that is, you'll probably found this way when you put up stuff on Instagram, content and everything else. Like, you get people with faceless accounts that are able to say what they want, and they're
Yeah.
not held to any sort of standard. And I know that we're getting into a different debate that could lead us to a podcast that's another hour long, which I don't want to do. But I think when it comes to that, for me, I would prefer that everybody does have some form of identification to be able to have comments or a viewpoint on Twitter. It's not the case that you need it to be there. You can absolutely look at stuff, but I think if you're going to be somebody who puts something out there publicly, you should be able to identify yourself. And I know there's the camp of people going, oh, sure, but they're trying to trace and track us. I'm like, well, how are you going to feel in a world where your kids are there and everybody can comment whatever they want on them and they can say what they want to them and
Yeah.
there's no repercussions to that. Like I wouldn't take what some of the things that have been commented to me. I'm like I wouldn't take that from a stranger in the street without having a wee bit of fisticuffs.
A
So I'm like,
hundred percent, 100%. Completely agree, man. But yes, let's not go down this rabbit hole because this is a topic for another episode.
right, cool. Well, Gary, where can they find you?
Instagram at gmac_health and fitness. Kyle, where can they find you?
Kyle_biofitness1 on Instagram.
Sure.
Don't ask me again.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you all for listening. I'm glad that the brain fog held up and allowed us to actually get a good solid episode recorded. Thank you, as always, to Dave and Toby for the absolutely tremendous intro and outro music.
Yes, cheers, Dave, Toby. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.